Alrighty, I'm Beck Lane, and this is Catalyst and Company. Catalyst and Company, we're catalysts in each other's lives as well as our own, and we work towards becoming the artists we've always wanted to be. And part of that work, when I'm trying to think about the past few days, is part of that work is practice and prepping and practicing. And I know to a lot of people, because I hear it all the time, it seems like I just do stuff and it's super easy and then it's done. And it's not, because then you also see me struggling in a lot of videos with so many different issues within my little painting world. And I've been prepping and practicing several different things this week that I just want to share with you. Before we get into it, Karen, I'm trying to get a hold of you. I messaged you on Instagram. Could you please get back to me? Thank you so much. And I want to thank everybody who's been supporting me on this mural project, including Eric, Miss Anonymous, Karen, Susan, and most recently my friend Kerry, the muralist Kerry Kice, who I talked about in a couple of different videos, and I'll put her links down below. She's a marvelous human being and a great muralist in Colorado, and I hope one day we get to work together on a project. That would be so awesome. That we've had several talks lately, and I appreciate you helping to sort things out, because my little head gets a spinning. So let's get back to this little nightmare I have going on. I've been trying to learn and teach myself and practice how to do a couple of things. Getting ready to hopefully do murals downtown, or getting ready for the murals that were proposed to me to do them downtown. And how do I take them from from images that I have or images that I've produced as submissions and make them larger? And it's a gridding system, as we talked about. A while ago I tried a doodle grid. It did not work out as well as I had hoped, because as loose as I am, the gridding system going at my stage, at my where I am, and taking tiny images and making them bigger and bigger, especially when they don't have to do with, like the filigree work that I do, the doodling that I'm used to doing. When it's taking a portrait and making it bigger and bigger, it's something I'm not quite used to yet, and I have to be exact if it's going to be an actual person or based on actual people. So I'm practicing and I'm working on it, and I'm preparing myself for the day I get in a lift and I get to go up and just do this thing. So I haven't mathed in a while, and I needed to develop a fairly accurate grid system that I could work with and also execute quickly on a wall. And that's part of the prepping and practicing as well, is mathing my way to getting into the lift and just boom, 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 getting the grid up as quickly and efficiently as possible for me as a muralist, because we're dealing with outdoor elements. We're dealing with a lot of heat and sun, but then we've also been getting monsoons. We had 3 rainstorms yesterday, and what I'm doing is every day that it rains, I'm listing out the time. I'm keeping a journal of the time that it rains, when it stops, when it starts again, when it starts to get really cloudy and thundery and lightning. So when we get there, if it's still during the rainy season here in South Florida, I'll have an idea of when I got to be in the scaffold, or when I have to be in the bucket, when I'm going to have to start packing up or thinking about wrapping up one section of the project. But anyway, that sort of thing. Prep and practice, that's it. So I had to figure out a grid for this wall. And this one particular wall is 4 stories high, but the surface that they want done is 28 feet high by 22 feet wide-ish. That's what I've estimated, because they haven't given me exact measurements. So I went downtown, I measured out this already built-in grid in the system. It's concrete, it's the shapes of concrete blocks. I think they just made the shapes so they wouldn't have just flat wall concrete. But it's, the wall is made up of 3 sections of this concrete grid that's already up there. And each block is 112 inches high by 92 inches wide with a 2 3/8, no, wait a minute, it's got a gap in it, with a 2 1/8 gap in between each block. So me, being me, I'm trying, I had to figure out a grid system, and I think I finally got it. It took me 10 to 12 hours to get it because I haven't mathed in a long time, but I knew it was something that I had to get right. Unfortunately, every time I did the math, I got a different number. So it literally took me 2 days. But in those 2 days too, of practice and prepping, just for the grid alone, I started to realize, oh, I can estimate. I can estimate and it'll be okay. We have an estimate, so when we get up on the wall, we can measure out the concrete blocks and just draw in the grid, and it will work out. But first I had to try and get it as precise as possible. So in the end, this is what I came up with. I'm going to show you 2 versions of it. There's the entirety of the wall in a larger format with a little bit of a gridding system, which I can break down once I get up there. But then I also did it, let's put this down. This is what we started with. There are about 80 versions of this in the garbage can because the math kept coming out differently. But I came down to this. I have choices here. This is actually, this could actually be just 1 block or 1 section of the wall. It could also be the entire wall multiplied by 1, 2, 3 cement sections. As I said, they're in sections. The part that they want done is 3 blocks high by 3 blocks wide. And this is what we came up with. Now this particular section that I broke down, this particular section involves how large the face is going to be. The A version of the face that's behind me, this terrible version that's behind me. This is how large the face would be. It would be about 1.5 of these cement blocks high and 1.5 wide. So what I did was, 2 days I spent on this. But when I finally nailed it down, I gessoed the canvas that I've been using the last few times. I gessoed the canvas, but I ran out of that gray material that I had mixed to match the concrete wall, the paint that's already on the concrete wall. I ran out of it. I didn't have enough paint to make it again, so I just used white gesso. Put down white gesso, duplicated the grid up here. The grid, it took me probably 40-45 minutes because I was still like trying to be exact and driving myself nuts with it. Laid it down, and once we got to a certain point, it was just taking this little doodad and doing straight edge, doobie-doobie-doo, once we got the measurements in. Anyway, was able to take the image, do an overlay of the original, well, the 50th version of the image, overlay it with my grid, and then reproduce the image on this larger canvas and grid. Unfortunately, when I originally did it, there was a lot that was off, and I didn't really see it for a couple of days. I did this 2 days ago. It didn't take me very long to get this far. So I did this 2 days ago. I barely worked on it yesterday. I was having a thing. But what I realized was when I took the photograph with the camera, it kind of fisheye lensed the image, and I didn't see it until I had this, I was really working on it. I'm like, wow, her eyes are off, everything's off. And I was so angry with myself that I kept painting and painting and painting and painting and painting, hoping I could find it by just continuing to paint like I usually do. Well, the paint is layering up, it's getting thick, there's a lot of texture, it's also acrylic. So I actually ran into two issues, and that was one. The second one is when I used the straight white gesso to cover the canvas, it completely changed the colors of the acrylic. They went from being the colors that I like, which were a little bit more muted and antique-y looking, to being a psychedelic mess that is driving me insane. So, what I'm getting to is, we're gonna do it again. It's practice, it's prepping and practice, prepping and practice. So once we get to the actual job, we can just boom, 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 and along. Because as I said, as the artist, we're dealing with weather. We're dealing with a lot of things we can't control. Here in Florida, it is a lot of heat, a lot of sun, and a lot of rain. Not all at once usually, but throughout the day. But we're also thinking about the client, because the client, we need to get this done. The client will be renting the lift that I need, either the aerial lift or the boom lift that I need to get up to the fourth floor, second, third, fourth floor areas. Because I ain't climbing no ladders, and I ain't doing no scaffolding. I'm not a monkey anymore. So it's up, down, up, down, up, down in the lift. They're gonna have to rent that. So I've got to keep that in mind. There's so many costs involved in doing this that I've got to be able to get in and do it quickly. But this morning, thanks to Kerry and everybody who's been helping to support this project, thank you so much, I was actually able to remix the gray, like this brownish gray color that is the wall. I can actually able to duplicate it, so I can, what I'm going to do is gesso this down again with the gray, draw the grid on again, and redo the entire thing, and it's all going to be okay. I mean, yesterday I was fits and starts about stuff, but it really is all about just doing the work, doing the prepping, doing the practice, so we get better and better, and and in this case faster. Normally, I don't care, well, I do care how fast I am on painting. I get bored very easily, so or pretty quickly when I work on a painting for too long. It just gets dry in my head, and I'm tired of it, and I'm ready to go start the next project. That's the normal thing. But on this, because it is a commission, and it does involve equipment and energy and people, and there's people that I would have to answer to. I've got to get this down. So it's practice, 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 prep, prep, prep. And in that, Kerry and I were talking yesterday because I was having a thing. And, she is a practiced mural artist. She did faux painting 20 years ago. Now she does murals, and, some of them, all of them now I think are all commercial. So I'm talking to someone who's speaking the same language as me, which has been really, really, really helpful. But she kept saying to me, you've got to, there's a lot that's been weighing on my mind about this, about the getting into doing murals, and the client, and blah, 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 and money, and this, and that. And she said, put that all aside. Basically, she said, put that all aside, and just do this for you. Do these steps for you, and pretty much, essentially, feel good about what you're doing, because you are doing, this is what I'm gleaning from the conversation, Kerry, you're doing the practice and the prep work for you, because you will be able to take this and use this in other projects. And she's absolutely right. I've never wanted to use a grid in any of my painting. Part of the adventure in painting, in oil painting for me, is finding the image, feeling the image, experiencing the paint, feeling the paint. being like I am a part of, I am physically a part of the paint and the I don't know how to put it, the entire process. This, however, is a different animal. It involves too many people and too many circumstances that I can't control. So I've got to prep. This is like, you know, to me, this is going on stage in an off-Broadway play. You prep and you practice and you rehearse and you do everything you have to do to ensure that once you get there, you can do the job efficiently and effectively. All right, I'm Beck Lane. This is Catalyst and Company. Catalyst and Company, or we're catalyst in each other's lives as well as our own. If you'd like to help support Catalyst and Company, help me with the mural project. If you'd just like to say thank you for not being a douche in this particular video and buy me a cup of coffee, that would be awesome. All the links are down below, including Cash App, PayPal, TeePublic, where you can buy images of some of my work on tote bags, t-shirts, sweatshirts, not like we need them, it's summertime. Coffee mugs, we always need the coffee mugs. But TeePublic and Patreon. Patreon, where you can supply monthly support for as little as $5 a month, and you get a prize at the end. I'm not very communicative on Patreon, but I do appreciate it. I really do appreciate it. Anyway, thanks a lot. And Kerry, the other Kerry, the Australian Kerry, who I think about all the time too. Ready? Let's go. Meow. Let's say ciao. Ready? Oh, glad I screwed that up. Douche of the day. Meow, meow, meow. Boink.